of GatorBaitMedia.com with the best shoe game in the Gator Media. And here we are with the first show of 2026. And we got a good one for you tonight. We talk the return of the Baugh. The Gators will run the Baugh again as Jaden Baugh will return to Florida. We'll talk about that and other transfer portal happenings. Have the Gators found their quarterback? We got the cocktail party on the Hardwood as the Florida Gators take on the Georgia Bulldogs and former Florida basketball coach Mike White. And then we look at just the happenings around the country, the college football playoff, and where things go from here as we head into about a month and a half, maybe two, from the beginning of spring ball. The Sidelines Live team would like to thank our sponsors, Meldon Law and Titan MRI and Imaging. Subscribe to the Lowdown with Lorean Meadows on YouTube and Facebook, and our partner shows on the Sidelines Live Network, The Buddy Martin Show, SEC Sidelines, and Scarborough Knows. Follow yours truly on Instagram at Ohio Gator for Life, and X at Real Ohio Gator, and TikTok at Ohio Gator for Life. Let's get to it. We're going to bring my man Rob Brown right in of SEC Sidelines. How you doing, Rob?
Doing great. I'm just ready for basketball, football, baseball will be here. But next month, they start practicing baseball, so there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, no doubt. And, basketball going on tonight. The Gators are, I think at last I checked, they were handling the Georgia Bulldogs pretty well. There at looks like at the O-Dome, just taking care of business. So the cocktail party, a little get back for the Gators. And it's funny, up until the last week at Missouri, or Saturday night, the last team to beat the Florida Gators in the entire country was the Georgia Bulldogs, taking an L down there up there, I guess, at Stedman Coliseum. So really good for Mike White. I think they feel like they let that one get away from them over there in Como, and get home, get back to the winning ways, and get a good win against a good Georgia team. So, definitely, taking care of business, looks like things. And I tell people all the time, they're 9-5, and there's 5 losses by 16 points total. And you look at this basketball team last year, Rob, you were close to it, obviously, with Auburn's run last year as well. Florida probably won some games last year that they should have lost. And this year they're losing games they should win. So, I tell people, yes, maybe the guard play is not as good as it was last year, but, they're still making their ways. I mean, they're making their way and, doing their thing. So, and I want to mention, kind of dropped the ball on this opening, but we'll also be joined later by Jake Rongholt of WCJB to shed light on all things Gators here in Gainesville. So looking forward to him as well. But Rob, I mean, early in the season, but definitely a good win for Georgia, who won a thriller against your Auburn Tigers, this past week. So definitely, I'm all over the place tonight.
Go back to last year, the Georgia win over Florida. Florida was down by like 26 points, fought back, briefly took the lead, ended up losing by 1 or 2. I remember that night saying to myself, Florida's going to win the national championship. And they were just, that was a sign that this team, even in a game, they could have just been blown out and left with their tail between their legs. They doubled down and fought and scratched and clawed, back and even in defeat, just showed how tough they were. And a lot of the games in the tournament, when they went 6-0, were like that. Yeah. Remember? I mean, the Thursday night, you name the game, they're trailing, and here they come back. Those are signs of national championship teams. They never take off. They play the full 40, or in football, the full 60. I love that.
Yeah, no doubt. And to our basketball fans, give another shout out to Franz Beard. A couple of things. Franz recently lost his mother. So, that's always hard around the holidays. But if you don't have your copy of the Golden Season, scan that QR code and go get this. Franz is, I mean, an amazing writer, tells a great story, has a great foreword in there by our man, Buddy Martin, published by Carlton Reese, photos by our own Chris Spears. I mean, a really good book, really great read. I was able to dive into it during the holidays, and I was on a little vacation. And I mean, just a great book. Really go out, get your copy of it. It is the the foremost authority on the inside scoop on what made last season, that same season that Rob is talking about, special. And before we get into the football, Rob, as Florida looks to be able to close the door on the Georgia Bulldogs anytime you beat Georgia in anything, I want to take time to apologize. I told my man Greg Upton I was going to do this. I owe the good people in the 305 an apology, and I even told some Miami fans this weekend when I was down there. I am sorry. I thought they were going to get boat raced by Ohio State. They did not, Rob. They showed up. They were a lot better in the trenches than I thought they would be, and basically shut down Ohio State. And, people were not happy there in Columbus, but you got to give credit to Miami for the job that they did.
Well, I had Miami to beat Ohio State, Oregon to beat Texas Tech. I originally felt Indiana would beat Alabama, went against my gut. Logo fever got me. Really missed on Alabama badly. And then I had Georgia to win. And that was a hell of a football game. Ole Miss just outlasted them. But I'm with you about Miami. They are really good. And they can run the ball, and they got a damn good front seven. And Ken Capps, one of our guys on the show on Fridays, great writer out in Texas, had a chance to talk with Ruben Bain at length. He said, there's just special players, special mentality. And you know what? The state of Florida has so much talent. I hadn't looked at that roster. Where's Ruben Bain from?
He's from somewhere down there, I think. I'm almost positive. One of our listeners help us out. Yeah, I think he's got I don't know if he's a South Florida kid or not, but they got some dudes. Ain't no doubt about that. I mean, you start talking about it. I mean, they got some dudes, and they were up to the challenge. And they brought it. I mean, you got to give them credit for what they did. I mean, it was definitely a showing of strength, so to speak, and it speaks to and I think sometimes because Mario Cristobal has had such a such an up and down time. But yeah, he's from Miami Central, so homegrown kid, great program there at Miami Central. So yeah, I mean he's something he gone. He's
how tall is
top 5 pick.
How tall is he?
He is 6'3", 270, and he don't play like he's 270.
No,
I was thinking 240. Yeah, he is. He is legit. And you got to give it up to Carson Beck too. I thought Carson Beck would throw it to the Buckeyes a couple of times, but he's almost turned into a game manager of this football team and just really handling things well and running this what I call a hybrid air raid offense with Shannon Dawson, but just really doing a nice job there. I mean, they got a chance, man. You went up front, and everybody can, talk about, we go back to that 06 team with Florida. A lot of similarities, questions about the quarterback, here and there, not a lot of star power, but just really good up front on both sides of the ball. And that's kind of where they are right now,
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you about Ohio State. You know that program really well. Loaded with talent. Yeah. Texas Tech, loaded with talent. Talking to Dave Bartu out in Oregon, who's on our show on Mondays. Texas Tech just didn't have the offensive talent to compete with Oregon. And Oregon's offense did next to nothing. Their defense bailed them out of that one. And then Ohio State, they've got talent at every position that you look at.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Dave was right, and I want your thoughts on it. Ryan Day calling plays, Heartline, they could have let him, but he took over. That was a breakup in continuity. I think that hurt him.
Yeah, I think it hurt him too. And here's the other thing. We'll talk about this a minute ago. Two things. I was shocked at the Oregon the Oregon Texas Tech score. I mean, that kind of threw me. But I also want to, you look at guys, I think they're the what do you call it? The perimeter of Miami, I think is, that Malachi Tony is, I mean, you talk about that '06 team again, very Percy Harvin like, can kind of do a lot of things. He can make you miss in a phone booth. And you talk about CJ Daniels, a guy that started at Liberty, was a big time player at Liberty, underused at LSU. Now he's at Miami making plays. I mean, really nice on the perimeter. But Rob, the team that had the bye in this format, 1-7.
Yep.
1-7. And I was always told that rest is underrated. It might be overrated in this situation, because all but the great Curt Cignetti, who I think, and we'll argue this at another time because I really want to get into it, who had the better reclamation project in history, Bill Snyder or Curt Cignetti? We'll talk about that another time.
Wow.
But you got to put that up there, man. I mean, they are unbelievable, and they are the only team in this format to not lose after that bye. The only one, which makes it even bigger.
Well, you look at Bill Snyder's run at Kansas State. That's like you coming down and starting a great hockey program in Belgrade, Florida. It's hard to believe it, but one thing they do have at Kansas State is that they're all aligned. Purple, They call it purple power.
Mm-hmm.
And that
absolutely,
that Gothic stadium that they have there,
yes, very
it goes
nice.
straight up. You know what? I'm telling you, I need to get Clark Humble to come on the show with you. You will love this guy. A friend of mine met him in Sandy Springs, Atlanta, a few weeks ago, and I immediately got him on. He's working now with the College Hall of Fame, but he's been to all the venues in all 136 D1 venues. I tell you what, I'd like to go is South Dakota State, North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Look, Brendan knows this. You know this, Lauren. These college football matters all over the country. And what they're doing in Indiana, I think that trumps Kansas State, because they came out of absolutely nowhere to be what they and they're just so, and they've got a chip on their shoulder.
Well, and you're not fighting a blue blood at Kansas State.
No.
I mean, you got like Tex Winter in basketball, then you had the time under Bob Huggins and just a little bit. But if you do not grow up next door to that, I mean, I grew up 25 minutes from Richmond, Indiana. And even though Richmond is closer to Dayton, Ohio than it is Indianapolis, you are in basketball country the minute you cross that border on I-70.
Isn't that wild?
I mean, and so for them to be where they are in football, yes, Bill Snyder had Kansas State on the doorstep, and they probably would have been a playoff team some of those years. But the fact that, I mean, if you make the drive from Kansas City to Manhattan, and I have, you do realize the job that Bill Snyder did. And there are very few coaches that I've been in awe of. And when I sat in Bill Snyder's office as a high school football coach, he recruited one of our players and got him to sign. It was unbelievable. But what Curt Cignetti, Florida's a basketball school and Indiana's a football school. I mean, there you have it. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, no doubt about it. And, speaking of football, and we're going to get to that, we're going to bring in Jake here in a minute. The big news of the day, and we'll talk about it a little bit more getting to the playoffs, but the big news of the day is that Florida is going to run the Baugh again. After all the speculation and all the attention this thing got. And I've never seen so much attention for a running back in this day and age. But what was Jaden Baugh going to do? We got Miles Graham back. We got Dallas Wilson back. We got VB3 back. But Jaden Robinson, Aaron Childs, Cormani McClain. But what was Jaden Baugh going to do? And obviously the angst got a little higher when Jabbar Jalouk was hired by Texas. But Jaden Baugh will return. And with that, we bring in Jake Rongholt of WCJB Gainesville. I think it's channel 2. He can correct me when he comes in. If we got him in, we got Jake yet. But Jaden Baugh returns. And Jake, you know all about that. You're in the middle of it, reporting it. What is the tenor now in Gainesville that we have Jaden Baugh returning?
I would have to say, whew, because I mean, everybody was waiting for this one to happen here. Thanks for having me, guys. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with my camera here. I guess I'm on an episode of Star Trek here. But anyway, no.
You look like Max Headroom. Anybody? You remember him? You too young for him? Max Headroom. He's on MTV. Yeah. Shout out to MTV too. I guess they're done. But yeah. So what you got, Jake? Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. Like I said, I apologize for my camera. I don't know what is going on here. But anyway, no, this has been in the making probably since November 29th, after in front of a sold out Swamp, that they witnessed this record shattering performance by Jaden Baugh. I mean, 266 yards. He is the 10th Gator in history as a running back to have over 1,000 yards. So he crosses that milestone, joining the likes of, Zeatrick Faison and Emmitt Smith and all of them. I mean, it's something that, Gator fans haven't seen since 2015 with Calvin Taylor. I mean, I know it's a running back. I know that it's going to cost some money here. I mean, you saw it with Richard Johnson's report for CBS. He's getting $1 million. And the fact of the matter is he's worth it. He's proven it. Because even when he was a freshman and he had only 133 carries, the guy had 8 total scores, including 7 on the ground alone. He had 5 touchdowns against Kentucky. This was a game that the Gators desperately needed back in 2024. And he was one of the reasons that this team got off the mat and woke up. Not to mention, he also has one of the best moments as a Gator fan when he went 55 yards against LSU, forcing Brian Kelly out the door basically at LSU. And he was one of the reasons. And you saw what happened this year. This team went 4-8. DJ Lagway's gone. So how are you supposed to build this offense? Well, you got a guy in Buster Faulkner who is known to being able to create a good running offense, using the quarterback, using the running backs that he has. They were 12th in the country. 12th in the country as a running team. So you have to be able to put this money into this kid. He wanted to be here from day one. It's just about, hey, if I am supposed to be the one player that you guys need to retain the most, pay me like it. And they did. But the first thing they did, what I really liked, the way that John Summerall and his coaching staff did, okay, we got to hit the trenches. So we go to Penn State. We get 2 offensive linemen, including TJ Shanahan Jr. You get you got another one today
Egan
as
Boyer.
well.
Yeah,
Boyer. Egan Boyer. Thank you. Caden Gates comes back. Najee Harris comes back. So there's some familiar faces right there in the offensive line that has proven that they can lead here as a starter. And then that's when Baugh said, okay, I'm coming back. So the way that this Florida coaching staff, brand new, was able to make this happen, that is a blockbuster deal for the Gators and this football program.
Yeah, and I mean, and another addition I think is, because you don't want to run Baugh to death, but you also add Evan Pryor, who was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, originally signed with the Ohio State Buckeyes, ran for over 1,000, I think over 800 yards and several touchdowns at Cincinnati. So, I mean, yeah, definitely building this team the right way, but Baugh was kind of the needle, the cog in the wheel, the guy that had to push that button. And then you add Aaron Philo at the quarterback position, Rob, who for all intents and purposes was going to be the heir apparent at Georgia Tech, threw for a ton of yards in high school, was only a 3-star recruit, but I guess was impressive in practice and things like that. So you got that coming for you. So him, Tramel Jones, and others will vie for that that quarterback position, and it'll be interesting to see what they look like under Faulkner.
Well, I mean, continuity is everything in college football. And so you've got an offensive coordinator who's got a relationship. He knows the kid coming down to Florida. And John Summerall, he's played for the championship every year he's been a head coach. Now, granted, he's not been in the SEC yet, but he's recruited the same kids from the same schools in the same footprint that he's going to be recruiting now as a head coach at Florida. I mean, he's been given now the keys to the kingdom. And when you get the right guy at Florida, they will own that state. It's almost impossible to get a top 25 kid out of that state when the Gators are rolling. Florida State right now is a grease fire. Miami, they're on fire. But they really recruit Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Florida gets more kids from the rural areas of the state. And I think John Summerall is going to be the Pied Piper of Gator Nation.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that, you look at it and, Rob, we talk about it, the transfer portal and there's some things that, and we won't get on that soapbox. We've been on that enough. But in regards to NIL, you and I both know that Texas or others offered him more money. I mean, is that safe to say?
Correct.
But I guess my thing is, and this is something I want to talk about on a couple levels. You look at the playoff picture. You look at Indiana versus Alabama. You look at Oregon versus Texas Tech, which I'm not sure Texas Tech outspent Oregon, but let's just say they did. Here's my issue with all of this is the fact that in one regard, somebody says, well, he went for the money, okay? Or that the team that spends the most wins. Mm-hmm. Well, we know that Ohio State outspent Miami, no matter what Miami spent. We know that Texas Tech at least spent as much as Oregon. We know that Alabama spent more than Indiana. I said all that to say coaching and preparation still matters, number one.
Yeah.
But number two, is it safe to say that there is still some integrity in this world, Rob, where a kid says, like I had a young man, I'll get to it in a minute. But anyway, one of the Florida running backs said, I came for the people. I'm here. And he's still here. Do you stay because, hey, I just like it here, man. Things are going well for me. And it ain't just, yes, I want to get paid, but there are other factors in place that A, make us a good football team, and B, it's not always about the money in this world. Or are we just resigning to, yes, it's all about the money and they're only leaving for the money?
Well, it's easy. It's a lazy response to say it's all about the money. But there are kids that love it there. And if you're a guy, you're good. And, not very few of them are going to make it in the NFL. So let's say you're just the ultimate teammate, scout team, second team guy. You play a lot. You get your degree from a place like University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You get it, whatever it's in. It's the University of Florida. Right. Then you're networked in with all those guys that came long before you were there. They made the place great long before you got there.
Mm-hmm. That's
worth so much more than a quick hit for a year or two. I mean, $250, $500, $1 million, it's a lot of money. I've had opportunities to make moves in business before for twice as much and took half to go somewhere else because it was a better fit. And I like the people better. I mean, but I was older. I wasn't 19. I was in my mid-30s.
Mm-hmm.
I had 3 kids, though. But still took it because I think when you get a kid that loves being there, Jaden Baugh, then he can start being a catalyst to recruit other people and keep them there. John Summerall is a culture builder. That's a term thrown around way too much. But the kids are going to love playing for him because he looks like he could still play right now. So, yeah, it's about money, but it's not all about money all the time. There's still exceptions, and I can't stand it. If you've got a team full of guys that are just there for the money, it's hard to build a locker room and a culture.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's key, and I think our own buddy Martin noted that Florida leads the SEC in transfer portal commitments at this time, and one of those commitments, let me find his name, the gentleman from Penn State, kind of a TJ Shanahan Jr., is the nephew of John Halapio, who was I think it was a guard here under some of those great, good Florida teams. I think under Muschamp and maybe McElwain as well. Somebody can correct me. So some connection there for sure. But Aaron Philo, quarterback is, as much as everybody's excited about Jaden Baugh, quarterback, the most important position in sports. And, you talked about the continuity, Rob, is having someone in Faulkner's system, understanding the lingo. Is he somebody that you can lean on right away to bring others along as you are implementing your system during installs and things like that? Somebody who was destined to come in and take care of business at that position. Is it key to have somebody with that familiarity in the fold?
Absolutely. I mean, Haynes King, remember, very important player at Georgia Tech. Played seemingly for 6 years or whatever. His father's the head of the Texas High School Football Coaches Association. Doesn't hurt to have connections in a state like Texas. Right. I think you'll agree. But no, Philo, what they did at Georgia Tech was pretty damn impressive this year. Okay? And you look at Brent Key, he's from Trussville, Alabama, Birmingham. Tough. He lost so much of his staff. But you know what? Nick Saban would lose a lot of years, 6, 7 guys. I guarantee you Brent Key's got a list stacked that high of resumes coming in. I would date myself a fax machine, but they're coming in. They want to be there. And by the way, I loved your reference, because the first time I went to Indianapolis a long time ago, I mean, when you enter that state and you go to Indianapolis and you go to the Butler Fieldhouse and you think about Jimmy Chitwood, it is so freaking cool to be in the state of Indiana. They good? Yeah, I just had some food. My wife just brought back. I had my lady that cooks for us duck shells with cream sauce and corn and ground venison shells.
That's what I'm
cream
talking
sauce
about.
and corn.
Yeah, that's good eating right there.
Some of that. But
yeah, you got to get me on that.
Though. I love what you said about Indiana, though, because you grew up right there. That is some of the best people in America up there where you're from. They are Joe Burrow's speech at the Heisman about where he's from. That's why Ohio State's so damn good in football, because it matters to those people.
Yeah, no doubt. And we were just talking, I'm sure, Jake, we were talking about just the fact that Indiana, I mean, the job that they're doing, being the only team of the bye week teams under this new format to win, being the right now the center of college football with under the auspice of Bob Knight and the banners and everything like that, and still being able to make it happen. But just the fact that the team that spends the money does not always get the gold. And I think we're getting into that where people are starting to think that matters. But at the same time, you still have to get it done on the field. You there, Jake?
Yeah, I am. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about the camera, man. We all good. Do your thing.
Yeah. Could you ask me that again, please?
Basically, is there still where the team that's, it's thought to be the team that is spending the money is the team that is winning it all. But coaching still matters. We talk about different places, but like the job that Signetti is doing, he's not outspending anybody. He's out coaching.
Oh, there's no question. Coaching is number one. That is one thing a lot of people are forgetting. And I love it how everybody's like, oh, the transfer portal has 4,000 players and all, and they could go wherever they want. No, they can't. No, they can't, because if they could go wherever they want, you would have those 23 Florida players in Florida. But the fact of the matter is the coaching staff looked at them and said, "You're not good enough." And they were like, "Okay, fine, I'll go into the portal," because they need players that have that high ceiling. And that is exactly what they have been doing. This is exactly why John Summerall, when he first came in, he says, "I'm a winner. I'm going to win. That is what I do." And what he did with Tulane and Troy in 4 years is insane. Tulane was pretty much like a bottom feeder. So was Troy. And then all of a sudden, he comes in and revamps them, puts them in bowl games. I mean, for goodness sakes, Tulane, wins back-to-back conference championships. And I know, some people look at that and go, well, that's not really important. Well, actually, it kind of is, especially when you're going into the SEC. Summerall just didn't walk in here and say, okay, I'll keep this guy, this guy. The only one he kept was Chapman. That was it. Yeah. Everybody else is brand spanking new. Defensive coordinator, he brought in Brad White, who is known for top 25 defenses at Kentucky with half the talent. Brandon Harris for UCF, same thing. He brought him in. Everybody's different. How about Phil Trotwine? Are you kidding me? If Gator fans know this guy, but from the championship teams. But at the same time, he's also a very prized offensive line coach. Some people were talking about, Pete Thamel was calling him the #1 offensive line coach in the country. And there you go. That's exactly why. And that's why I really like the way that Jaden Baugh they were focusing on this. A new coaching staff, and they said, okay, we don't need you. We don't need you. You can go in the portal. We need you. We need you. I mean, they went and got a guy from Jacksonville State in Alabama today. Right. And some people go, what are they doing in the Conference USA? Well, here's the question to Summerall. He's been doing this since Troy, and he's going to be doing it here. And a lot of people were like, I don't hire my friends. He didn't really hire friends. Was he friends with Brandon Harris? Was he close with Brad White? Maybe, yes, because they were on the same coaching staff together. But it never felt like buddy-buddy when it came to Summerall and the way that he was focused. He was doing everything the opposite of Lane Kiffin was doing. He was helping out the school that let him go off to Florida. Yep. He was donating money to help them. He was making sure they had a coach in place. And then he comes to Florida, and he is still doing his job. When was the last time the Gators said, you know what, we're going to go get 11 transfers in the last couple of days? I'm in shock.
Well, the thing is, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I was going to say they now have the second, which, shout out to Buddy Martin, the second most transfers in the league. I think Arkansas has 12, but we'll run down the list. Alec Clark, all-conference punter. Patrick Durkin, all-conference kicker.
Love that one.
Egan Boyer and T.J. Shanahan Jr., Penn State. Bailey Stockton, receiver. Evan Pryor, we already talked about it, running back. Emmanuel Obadejo out of Jacksonville State.
Love Dakota that move.
Dupree, JMU. Aaron Philo, Georgia Tech. DK Kalu out of Baylor. And DJ Coleman, safety, out of Baylor as well. And, yeah, I mean, getting after it, getting things in place, putting the mold in, and then you talk about the coaching staff, and here's my thing about the coach staff, and someone asked me about this. You got to have people you trust.
Yes.
They may not be your friends, and just because we worked together before doesn't mean we were friends. But if you got some good friends that are good coaches, you need to hire them. Because Billy Napier hired people that may or may not been that worked out, and I still say there were some really good assistants there. I think Rob Sale is a better O-line coach that people give him credit for, simply based on the fact that your last two All-Americans were offensive linemen. So so we'll talk about that, and then a repeat offensive lineman. But when you talk about Buster Faulkner, I'm sure there was a relationship there somewhere.
Right,
Brad
some
White,
kind of relationship.
Great defensive coordinator. Gerald Chapman, great D-line coach. Chris Collins, solid at the safety. Joe Craddock, familiar with what we were doing at Georgia Tech. Marcus Davis. We already saw what he did with arguably the three best receivers in the SEC. Chris Foster at running back. Wasn't the first choice, but still solid. Jonathan Galante brings the kickers with him. Greg Gasparotto, Bam Hardman. We all know about him. You know, he shouldn't bring a former Florida Gator, Brandon Harris, the work that he's done, Evan McKissick. All these guys are guys that are familiar with what they're trying to do. And really, Rob, the way that you got to build a staff when you want and you understand, I got to win now.
Yeah. Hey, Jake, I used to be in your shoes as a TV reporter at Channel 3 in Columbus, Georgia. Eastern time zone, working till 11:30, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 18-hour Saturdays. I love what you bring to the table. What a great, you're awesome. This is what Brendan always talks about, drill down local. Good Lord, Lorean, his knowledge, your knowledge of Florida and Summerall. I've got a good friend, John Hartwell, who's on our show on Thursdays, who's known John since high school. He used to be the AD at Troy and has been very close to that family for a long time. This guy, I can tell you as an Auburn grad, I wanted him so bad I can taste it. And Auburn kind of like told him who to hire. And he goes, let me tell you something, with all due respect, if the ship goes down in that raspy voice of his, it's going down with my crew, not a mix and match grab bag of yours. Florida got the best coach hire, period. I don't know what Golis is going to do, but that's the best hire I saw.
Rob, the craziest thing happened the day he was introduced.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier were there. I went to go talk to Coach Spurrier after the press conference, and I said, what did you think about that? And he goes, oh, yeah, I can't wait for the season to come up. And I said, and I even asked him this question. I said, were you at Billy Napier's press conference? He looked at me and he goes, no, I wasn't. You could definitely tell there were more people at this press conference than there were for Napier. There really was. Because the intrigue that Summerall brought, that guy brought it right out the gate. I was like, that's the first good step right out the gate. And then, and then you go back to National Signing Day. He got 18 of 20 commits. This is a guy who was like, hey, look, I know I just got here. I want to get to know you. And they were like, I'm still going to do it. I still want to be a Florida Gator. That's something really special, especially here in Gainesville. I cannot wait to see Justin Williams, the kid out of Buchholz.
Mm-hmm.
These kids were like, I'm not changing my mind. I wanted to come to Florida. And Summerall was like, okay, let's do that. And I do actually understand. I was looking into the chat line here. I could not agree more. There was one thing Billy Napier did a good job on, and that was creating a culture in the locker room, because these kids were around Napier. They were together. They wanted that. And so Summerall also has that history with what he's done with Troy and Tulane. These Tulane kids, when they knocked off North Texas, they had that fire in their eye. They knew they were going to be an underdog against Ole Miss. They still looked at them and said, we're going to give it everything we can. And if you look, and I know the score doesn't say much, but in the first half of that game, Tulane was right there in lockstep, frustrating the daylights out of Ole Miss. And I was just like sitting here going, they fought to the end. Yeah. You want that, especially when you're in the SEC. Now it's going to be a little tougher for you. So now you got to think outside the box and find these guys. One thing I really got on my nerves about Napier, and I really liked him, but I kind of felt like he was going for headlines when it came to these transfer portal guys. Summerall's like, I'm not doing that. We need guys. I need my guys to come in. It's not sitting here going, okay, I need Billy's guys. No, I want my guys. And I know there's going to be a transitional period, but understand this. This is how I win. This is how I'm going to bring it to Florida. May take a little time, but this is a good starting point right now. You could not ask for a better start to 2026, to this transfer portal right now for John Summerall. And he's continuing to prove this is what he has been doing. He thrives in the portal.
No doubt. And, I feel I got to give a shout out. It was David Aronoff that talked about Billy building a good locker room. Dave's a big character guy, and he really is the brainchild of the Lowdown with Lorean Meadows. So got to give a shout out to David Aronoff for sure. And then, hey, Bruce Green, I mean, like I said, I understand, but I'm going to come back at you. I don't think Rob Sale is awful. I mean, you guys are getting paid a lot of money that play for Rob Sale. So I I would beg to differ. And then if you even look at Billy's staff with guys like Jabbar Jalouk, bringing in Billy Gonzalez and some of those folks, I mean, they have some good people. Katie Turner. I mean, a lot of people don't give him credit for, and I guess shout out to Katie. She's going to be sticking around from what I understand. That's correct, right, Jake? From what we've heard.
From what we've seen right now, yes. We haven't really heard much. We have been talking to our sources, and we have been kind of like under the radar right now.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Well, I think she's going to have a baby too. So, shout out to Katie Turner, going to be a mommy for the first time. But I'll stand by my man Rob Sale. I question anybody that says he's a bad O-line coach. Text me or email me, and I want you to draw up 3 zone plays. I want you to draw up 4 powers, and then I want you to draw up 3 counters. And if you can do that, then I'll listen to you about O-line play.
I will say this about Rob Sale. Okay, I will say this. When it comes to Billy Napier and when it comes to Rob Sale was not the one that said, okay, get these 2 guys off the right side over to pass block. Okay, I need 2 other guys to go in to run block. Okay, Sale wasn't doing that. That's Napier.
Right.
That's the way he was running things. So I'm not going to put all the blame on Rob Sale and Jonathan DeCoster. Okay, they did a good job. I mean, let's keep in mind that Jake Slaughter, it was a first-team All-SEC 2 years in a row, and that is because of guys like Sale and DeCoster. So you got to give credit to that with it. What I like, what frustrated me the most was just seeing that right guard and that right tackle continuing to switch out like that. I was like, that's just ridiculous. But you can't put that all on Sale. He did as good of a job as he could, but now it's just time to move on with Trotwine. And with the resume this guy has and what he's already been able to do to rebuild this offensive line, can't wait.
Championship level offensive lineman here too. I mean, you're bringing in, and that's what I said. Some people were kind of gawking at Summerall staff, and I was like, yeah, I might agree with you there, Bruce. Good call. But
I'm all for it, Bruce.
Troutwine and some of those guys that really have no connection to him, but have connection to Florida. And I think that's big too. We got to pay some bills. So we got to talk about the good folks at Meldon Law, the only official law firm of the Florida Gators. See the Meldons everywhere. We sit near each other at women's basketball. Always a smile on the face, always rooting the Gators on. Offices up and down the state of Florida. New office in South Florida. Everybody still talk about the championship rings. I got one over my shoulder, but just doing big things. But ultimately, one of the best law firms around. Basically, personal injury and others. But if you have a legal need that they can't help you with, they will refer you to somebody. They helped me with some estate planning. I mean, just a great group of people at Meldon Law. And they give away some swag when you go in there, too. So Meldon Law, proven and skilled lawyer since 1971. We won't back down. All right. Now we got a little time left. And we got a little I guess I already made my apology. But we got a little cleaning up to do. But before we get into the basketball, I want to talk about this, and we talked about this, into the football. Let's go back to the basketball. And I want to give a shout out. I'm not a person but I feel like I need to do this for a couple reasons. I want to give Kelly Ray Finley a shout out simply because we've been talking about NIL and things like that and the haves and the have-nots. But I'm kind of going to take the Florida Gators to task because we saw, the school Florida to task, because we saw a team on Sunday go toe-to-toe with the number 3 team in the country with probably the least resources of any college basketball team, at least in the SEC. And I want to give a shout-out to the job that Kelly Ray Finley is doing, keeping this team in flux, getting the players that she's been getting. And she had Don Stanley cussing the other night. And when you got Don Stanley cussing, you making it happen, Rob, would you say?
No, absolutely you are. And I like what you said about the offensive line coach. So many people make comments and they have no foundation that they're even coming from. So, that's good. But and Jake, you're there every day. sports director there in Gainesville. And where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Minnesota.
Wow. Okay. So how long have you been down here?
I would say about 2018 when I went to the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. So yeah, I've been here for about 7 years. I've been at TV 20 for 3 years now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, and that again, your knowledge is incredible. And I like what you said. Both of y'all talked about it. Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer at the press conference for John Sumrall.
Shocked.
I mean, and you know what? He's a lot like them. This guy hates losing. And I heard a athletic director in the state of Alabama tell me, I hate to admit it because it shouldn't be this way, but he has the best relationships of any coach with the high school coaches in Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and the surrounding areas. That includes coaches at Auburn and Alabama. That's how good a recruiter this guy is.
Yeah, no doubt. Touch on Kelly just for a minute. Sorry to go back. Jake.
Oh man, I can't say enough about the way Kelly Ray Finley runs things. We have now done for the second straight year another sit down with Coach Finley. She has always been great to us. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, man, having a player like Liv McGill really does bring this nucleus, because one thing about her that we found out about her is that this is the first time that she has been able to actually retain some players to come back for another year with Florida, with McGill, with Reynolds, and with O'Neal. And that is really big to see right now because, like you said, the less resources, but she doesn't really care because she continues to battle and make this team better. Look at Mills Dockich. Mills Dockich gave South Carolina a headache.
Yes.
I haven't seen Mills Dockich perform like that before because she's a freshman, but she had 10 points coming off the bench. Yeats came off the bench, did a good job. And if you look at the numbers, South Carolina shot 34% from the field, 24% from three-point line. This is one of the best teams in the country. And the Gators, they're a couple of steps behind, but they are different compared to previous teams. Yeah, you lost by 11 points, but they were in it to the end. You're talking about teams that were losing by 30 points, 28 points, 21 points, 40 points. This team was different. And it's just a good baby step forward with this team, especially with McGill. McGill loves playing for Florida. She loves commanding this team. She loves putting this team on her back. And women's basketball has been fun. It gets frustrating, but then you just get that reminder. Finley was able to revamp her basketball operations, her coaching staff again. She was able to bring in Fred Williams, who had a long extended resume of making the team better as an assistant coach. So just give this team time. I mean, if they can keep from losing 10 to 11 or more games, that's a step in the right direction because, last year they were 19 and 18, but they still made a postseason tournament, and that's something to say. And Liv McGill performed out of her realm last year as a freshman. And you know what? She gets better every game. And she is nationally spoke about. They love talking about Liv McGill. But what I love about Liv the most is it's not Liv and company. It's Liv saying, I want Reynolds to help. I want O'Neal to help. I want Yeach. I want this to be a team game. And that is really something that you got to give a lot of credit to Kelly Ray Finley with the resources that she doesn't have at that point. So,
and no doubt.
Bruce Carmichael, yes. By the way, that's Todd Golden's 7th victory of the 8 matchups against Mike White, for the record.
You pointed that out when I sent you the link today. Yeah, shout out to both basketball teams. And as far as women's basketball team goes, Florida administration, make the commitment. It'll be worth it.
I could not agree more.
All right.
That goes for all of them, yeah.
No doubt. And Rob, what we got? Thursday night playoffs?
Yeah. These playoff games, Ole Miss against Miami. Right now, man, I've got Miami winning that game. And Ole Miss is the last chance for the SEC. And there's a lot of people criticizing the conference. And we get to talk about all 16 of the teams every morning on our show. And I'm just looking at that front seven. They're disruptors from Miami. And then I look at Oregon and Indiana. Indiana
rematch.
Wins. I think Indiana wins the national championship.
I definitely think if you watch that Indiana-Oregon game, the better team was definitely Indiana, and it wasn't even close. Well, yeah. So it was at Oregon, at Outson.
Yes.
I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, so yeah. I mean, shout out to Indiana and the job that they're doing. Where are those games? Who's where?
All right, they're going to be playing Thursday night in Arizona, Tempe.
Okay, and that's Indiana.
That's Ole Miss and Miami. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the Oregon-Indiana game is going to be in. Is that one in Atlanta?
I think it's in Atlanta. Yeah. I think so. Okay.
Yeah, because Georgia was hoping they could get them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Didn't work out that way.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. So, but, I mean, here it is, man. I mean, it's late, but I'm really excited to have some football. We got the Gators tonight. Got women's basketball Thursday night, so I'll be bouncing around. We got the Buddy Martin show tomorrow night, Thursday. Don't forget, Half Full and a Cup of Joe Thursday night. I know he's gonna try to have us get in on that. My man Joe Fulford out there in Iowa, bringing the flavor out there in Iowa, and talk about bringing the flavor. The people at Titan MRI and Imaging, a lot of my patients go there to get their work done. Titan MRI and Imaging is really not the newest anymore. The premier facility in Gainesville, Lake City, and Marion County now, also serving Valdosta, Georgia. No insurance, no problem. Bigger MRI machines. If you're claustrophobic, they make you feel good. They have self-pay options. They have CT scans, X-rays, walk-in hours, all of those things. They're at the Millennium Center, all over the place. Now in Ocala, just doing a great job. Joe Calorio is back running that thing, and people have told me just how easy it is to get in. We have a lot of patients sometimes that, it's hard for them to get in, or they need something quick. They get in, get that CT scan, and get that done so they can go on to the procedures and things like that. But really appreciate the people at Meldon Law and Titan MRI for all that they've done. But Titan MRI is your choice. Rob, who we got on the show tomorrow?
Got to start off in the leadoff position. Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 up in Nashville. Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover. Dudley Dawson, Inside Arkansas. Vince Ferrara, the sports animal up in Knoxville. And we'll touch on all 16 schools. We end up doing it every day. Can't not do it. But a lot of discussion today talking about Ole Miss and Charlie Weiss Jr., what's going on. LSU, Kiffin pulling on him, Kiffin trying to tell those guys, you better get over here. I'm going to tear up your contract. So we'll get into all that. And then, what's happening at places like Florida, it's nice to see.
Well, and, you talk about Lane and Florida.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's kind of died. The luster off Lane is for Florida fans kind of like, we don't know about some raw. We'll wait and see, but we definitely think we may have dodged a bullet with Lane, for sure.
Oh, but
yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where be careful what you wish for. And I remember, people may not want to say it, but Urban who? Where did he coach? Who? And there we are. And you talk about a hard-nosed guy that hates to lose. And, it's different, and there's some pedigree there. And I remember Brad White defenses giving Florida, some very talented Florida teams, fits. So, you look at some of that stuff, and you look at Buster Faulkner and what they're able to do. I think Florida fans are going to be, it's going to be interesting. I'm still in wait and see mode, but I'm excited for the spring. But enjoy the football this weekend, and we got NFL playoffs and all that going on. I mean, it's one of those great times with the conference season and everything. So I think it's going to be great, man, for sure. Any parting words, Rob?
Yeah, just Urban Meyer, Dave Bartu talked about him. He goes to Bowling Green, they start winning immediately. Goes to Utah, winning immediately. He goes to Florida, they're winning immediately. Look at John Sumrall, 2 years at Troy, conference championship both years. 2 years at Tulane, conference championship both years.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, think about that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me, Rob. As always, we want to thank Jake Rongholt of WCJB Channel 20 News. Check them out. Be on here in a little bit with the sports. Have some highlights for you from the Gators win against the Georgia Bulldogs. And just like every week and next week, we will be recording live from somewhere on the Lowdown with Lorean Meadows.
I love it.
Join us.
Thank you.